Well, shifting focus onto the game itself. Um,
Mm.
I guess the first place to start, we kind of already went over basically what the game is, but why did you want to make this kind of game? What did you feel like was missing from what was there?
For sure. So, like I said, we pulled out the original Oculus dev kit. A friend of mine had it, and we played it with the old Razer Hydra control. I'm not sure if you know
Oh,
anything about that. That thing was
yep,
crazy.
yep.
It was like the hand controls we have in VR today, but they were cabled into this weird mystical orb.
Mm-hmm.
It was a magnet, and it used the magnetic field of this kind of central orb to do hand controls, which is just nuts, by the way. It's such a weird technology. But we had that really early and played around in the old Tuscany demo and played a little bit of Team Fortress 2 and stuff like that on the original dev kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh, okay, so this is where VR is heading. This is really cool. It wasn't until I got to play the Vive at
Mm-hmm.
uni that I went, oh, okay, room scale VR. I can now move my entire body. I can
Right.
do all of this. I twisted my knee playing Pavlov, trying to duck behind cover. I was accidentally punching walls. I was doing some like the way I was playing Super Hot kind of felt like interpretive dance. So
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I made a YouTube video where I played Super Hot to Enya. It was very like flowy and cool. So it was experimenting a lot with VR and really excited about this direction. But soon enough, as it comes with any technology, and especially that VR is primarily led by the indie developers, right? There weren't as many AAA people, and there still isn't as many AAA studios working in the VR space.
Well, in the
So
VR
things
space
started
from
to
AAA
slow
studios,
down.
you tend to get these like VR experiences, right? It's less VR
Yeah,
games from the big studios. It's like experience being Batman, experience being Spider-Man, and that's cool, but it's kind of like a one and done thing, right? It's not like a Beat Saber where you can keep playing that game. There's consistently more things to do.
for sure. And so that's what I mean. You've got these kind of arcadey games they're sort of endless. You can play them over and over and get a good experience out of it. Like you
Mhm.
said, Beat Saber, Space Pirate Trainer was one of the first like big ones.
Mhm.
And then like you said, we had some Batman-y experiences. Like now we're getting some Assassin's Creeds, your Hitmans, your Batmans.
Mhm.
Deadpool coming next year looks really awesome. So it's starting to heat up now. But at that time, it was like you get a wave of indie games that just have
Mhm.
these kind of mechanics in them. A lot of games would just have one mechanic, and I'd get really, really into it, and you'd get these tiny glimpses of what VR could be like, and we're starting to get there now. But there was these tiny glimmers that I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so amazing, and all of that. But then there was a bit of a lull, a bit of a drop off.
Mhm.
Kind of after the Quest 2 came out, lots of people like got really excited, and then again, like there wasn't too many games
Mhm.
coming out at the time. And then I also went, well, why are people putting their headsets down? Because I'm
Mhm.
having an amazing time in VR. Like this is the next level. The big one for me was that at the time I was doing a lot of video editing
Mhm.
as my job. I was at my desk a lot already, and people were playing Apex, people were playing League of Legends, all that kind of stuff. But it's like I've already just spent 8 hours at my desk. I love video games and have played video games since I was, tiny,
Mhm.
but I need to move my body at some point.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that's when I was like, I was lucky enough to have just enough space in my room to like push everything out the way and have a big kind of VR play space and really make it physical. I've got really, really into some of these like archery games where you use a bow
Mm.
and arrow. I've got a reel out there where you play Hollow Point, and it's you shoot a target, and once you shoot it, it then shoots back at you at the same trajectory. So you have to
Okay.
immediately dodge after shooting an arrow. And that got really, really physical.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, this game's awesome, but it just doesn't feel real enough. So I duct taped two broken hockey sticks together with some elastic, taped it to my index controllers, and I had a real bow and arrow working in VR, which was
Mhm.
awesome. It was so much fun. Didn't knock anything over, but it looked like I nearly did. And but then the next day, so like I said, I'm shooting bows. I've got all this, whatever. 3 hours in, my arm was killing me, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Like I have been holding this hockey stick up
Mhm.
above my head for about an hour and a half. The next day, I couldn't lift my arm. and I couldn't open doors at all. And I'd accidentally found out that I'd given myself like a one-armed gym session while
Mm-hmm.
playing a video game. I went, well, let's follow these two threads, right? Like people are stopping playing VR because they don't have enough space in their room to play these bigger experiences. They play the same few like arcadey kind of repetitive games,
Mm-hmm.
get bored with it, move on, and go back to their flat screen games, right? And we started to see stats coming up that quite a lot of Quest 2s were sitting on shelves gathering dust.
Right.
So I want other people to be able to have this big VR experience like I'm having. But if the next upgrade for your gaming setup is real estate, that's not really an approachable way to get these games to
Right.
people. So I wanted to shrink those big VR experiences down as much as possible. And we still hadn't found a way to get that locomotion working, that full open world kind of experience. And then I went, wait a minute, what about an exercise bike?
Mm.
You're stationary, but you're moving. Your body feels like you're moving. You're getting really into it. So I picked one up off of the side of the road and had a bit of a go on it. Did a bit of experimenting and went, actually, this works really well, and this is super fun. And this is also a way for me to get that exercise in, in my room in a safe space, while I'm still playing games. Because there's absolutely no other way I was going to stick to a regular exercise routine or a gym class or anything like that. I really needed a way for it to be more exciting and more interesting for me. It started to work, and I thought, well, if this works for me, then maybe it will work for other people as well.
I think it's one of the areas where I'm kind of surprised VR hasn't expanded into the idea of these sort of not entirely necessary, but still interesting sort of like add-ons. Like, if you go back to the PS, actually, no, go back to the Wii. Wii's a good example.
Yeah.
You'd have a lot of attachments for the controller, like the Wii steering wheel, and you could play those games without the steering wheel. It was just using the controller itself. Or there were like a bunch of random little things like that where it enhanced the experience. And there's just not really that in the VR space. Right now you have treadmills, basically. That's pretty much the only additional thing. But I've seen people say like
accessories. There are some accessories. It's very niche. I think that's the main thing is that it's not as out in the open as people realize. You can get golf clubs in VR. You can get
I didn't even know those existed.
There you go.
There's no marketing on them.
Attachments.
No one ever talks about them, at least.
Yeah, exactly. It really depends. Like there is very much, it's still a very divided thing where you've got your VR hardcores that deep dive and research everything and find out everything. You've got a bit of a DIY thing. You've got your simulator people, so like your racing sim guys, your flight sim guys. They were already hardcore in the scene and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on their setup.
They were doing that before VR.
Beforehand. Now they're doing it in VR as well. And the setups are just insane. There's quite a lot of racing guys now that swear by VR because you can actually like you can in a real car, you can watch the apex go as you hit it. And then you do have a bit more, like, you've got some accessory stuff as well. There are some hardcore FPS people that have stocks for their controllers, and so it feels like a real rifle and all that kind of stuff with kickback and haptic feedback vests and all that kind of stuff. It is more on the expensive side. It is they're small companies that are doing these, getting bigger and bigger. We've got VR shoes coming out very soon. We've got all that kind of stuff.
What do you mean VR shoes? What is that?
VR shoes. So it's like a pair of robotic roller skates that as you walk, they wheel you backwards, so you stay in place as you're walking.
So it's a more smaller scale of the treadmills. So
you've got the slide mills, like the catwalk and the Omni, and now there's a new one coming out with like ball bearings on the surface. And then you've got these VR shoes. It's like a Kickstarter project this guy's working on. He's taking it out to expos and stuff now. And then you've got your really expensive Infinidex and your zero latency type spaces where you go. We call it like location based experiences, where it's a set space, it's tracking that space, and you can play multiplayer, like 3-on-3 shooters and that kind of stuff. So there are these kind of multi-tiered parts of VR.
Mhm.
But yeah, there is a whole fitness scene now as well. There is a
Mm.
fitness VR scene, which clearly I saw coming in about 2019. And now it's hitting up pretty big. So we've got like a similar game now to like Ring Fit, which is called I think it's called Fit Quest. Um, and then you've got your Beat Sabers that are, I call them sleeper fitness games. So
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
a
they're not
Beat Saber.
designed to be a fitness game, but they are fitness games in their
Mhm.
own right. So you've got all that kind of stuff. There are like lots of boxing
Mm.
style games, and you've got even like big fitness companies like Les Mills coming in and doing like a full like kind of like your gym classes kind of experience in VR. You've
Mhm.
got your dancing games and things like that. So people go way into full body tracking. So they put trackers all over their body, and then that's represented in the game. And some people go into VR chat and do their own like aerobics and yoga classes and things like that. So there
Mhm.
are so many niche communities around there. But like you said, that's like unless you're looking into this stuff, you don't see it. It's
Mhm.
not quite mainstream yet. It's not like you go down to your big box store, pick
Mhm.
up a PlayStation, and then you see all this stuff, right? It's not
Right,
quite
right.
there yet. A lot of it is all online retailers and things like that, and smallish companies
Mhm.
doing it. But then, yeah, the idea for my game was like I didn't want you to have to buy any special accessories or anything like that. So I found a way to get it to work with any exercise bike because VR is already price prohibitive
Mhm.
enough already. I wanted it to be as cheap as possible. And I didn't want to lean into that fitness style thing. I
Mhm.
didn't want to be like a Peloton or a Zwift or
Mhm.
a Zumba or something like that. I wanted it to feel like a game for gamers.
Mhm.
Want the game to be the motivation first, and to have the fitness be like a bit of a bonus.
Mhm.
And that's why. So we just use the existing controller that you get with your headset. We use a little bit of elastic / duct tape or whatever
Mhm.
Velcro strap the controller to your leg, and you can play on any exercise bike or cycle trainer. You can get those ones where you use your actual bike and you
Mhm.
attach something to the back wheel and you can ride at home. So that's sort of step one. I mean, sure, I'd love to have my own like giant gym facility with 10, 15 games that do all sorts of different things, but
Sure,
I
sure.
got to start small. I got to start in the home. A little bit of DIY, a little bit of like, oh yeah, I know I can duct tape something together and
Mhm.
strap it to my leg and see if I like it first. Grab a really cheap bike off of the street, off of Marketplace, off of Craigslist or
Mhm.
whatever, and have a bit of a go first. And then if I like it, maybe I'll get into it, jump into the Discord and get hardcore about it. Like we'll see how it goes.